What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV back here for another match preview for you guys. Spurs face Fulham at Craven Cottage for the Carabao Cup second round. And you know what? I forgot what this round of the Cup felt like, to be honest.
How long has it been? It's been many years.
So long. I think we haven't been in it since what? The Martin Old days, I don't think.
I think...
you know what?
I think it was 1 year under Redknapp we were in it.
Was it 1 year under Redknapp? Because I was actually thinking, I actually thought that the last time we were in this round was my first away game, Grimsby away.
I don't think so, because in Redknapp's first season, when he took over 2 points from 8 games, we didn't get Europe. That was the last time we didn't get Europe. Right. I actually think I remember because Crouch scored a hat-trick against Preston. I think that was the second round.
So it was 2 times ago was probably Grimsby.
Yeah, exactly.
God, that John... Kalulu, whatever his name was.
Jean-Paul Kawudimba Kalala.
That's the one. Unbelievable. Literally.
He held the record for the longest name in the EFL, I think.
It was mental because I was about 17 or something, 16, 17 at the time. My mate goes to me, look, I'm taking you to your first away game, calls me up, picks me from college. Proper excited, go up all the way up to Grimsby, and I'm going out to get my beer get ready for extra time and what have you. And as I'm walking out, Grimsby score, and instead of walking out to get my beer, I walk out to go home.
And then that was your first Spursy lesson, I guess, and many more.
Being at an away game anyway. I mean, I saw many Spursy moments at home, that's for sure. Yeah. But look, Fulham away in the second round of the Carabao Cup. It's always hard to preview these games because we have no kind of inkling what kind of lineup Fulham are going to play. We know that Spurs are going to make changes, but still, I think it's hard to know exactly who's going to play. So it is kind of difficult to preview these games, isn't it?
Yeah, it's hard to know how serious they're going to take it because we know Fulham have... Fulham at the moment, they've had a difficult start to the season. They've got a lot of problems at the moment with Marco Silva and Mitrovic leaving. They've had Paulinho has been approached by lots of different clubs, although he stayed loyal at the moment and haven't really found an offer. It's hard to know if they're going to come into this with their full team and have a really good go at the cup, or are they thinking now, look, there's no guarantees about anything within the league this season. So, we just got to make sure that at the moment we're not getting ourselves embroidered in a relegation battle. And if that means sacrificing the cups, that means sacrificing the cups even at this early stage. I'm not sure where Fulham's heads are at, but not all is well at the moment with Fulham. And the level of performance, although, to be fair to them, they battled back with 10 men against Arsenal and did get that draw, so credit to them. But performance levels at the beginning of the season been that high so far, especially compared to last season where they had a very good start to the season, a very respectable top half finish as well. And I think Marco Silva is doing a good job, but maybe he feels like it's hard not to be frustrated if you're Marco Silva, isn't it? Because you spend a lot of time building this club and getting them to the Premier League and imprinting your style of play, and then out of nowhere your best striker gets poached, and this player gets injured, that you're kind of you're limited in the transfer market to signing Raul Jimenez replaceable for 5 million, and
looks like they're getting that Beto in. Is that for Fulham?
That's for Everton.
Oh, Everton are getting Beto.
But like for Marco Silva, you want to progress, don't you? You want to keep moving forward, and it's just the situation's made that near impossible.
It seems like this happens to Marco Silva every time he joins a club, to be honest, and something's inevitably does go wrong after a positive start. But you're looking at the form of the teams coming into it. I mean, I haven't really been impressed at all with Fulham this season. I'm not going to lie. I know they fought back against Fulham, but on another day, Arsenal probably win that about 4-1 or 4-2. So I think when you assess Fulham the first 3 games of the season, I don't think there is too much to be impressed about, is there?
No, and the win they did get was Everton away, and they were extremely lucky in that game. Everton missed a whole host of chances. Leno had a brilliant game on the day, and they ended up getting a late winner at Goodison Park, and it was a thoroughly undeserved victory. The second game, they lost quite heavily to Brentford 3-0 at home after some terrible defending, and that was a really poor showing. And then against Arsenal, they kind of got away with it, as much as you got to give them credit for the character they showed to just stay in the game and not crumble, essentially, albeit you could argue the way they gave up the lead that they had, they did crumble a bit in those few minutes where they gave away the penalty stupidly, and obviously the goal from Nketiah, but they did stay in the game and they battled back in a hard-fought draw, so it shows there's still character left in this team for sure. But I'm just looking at the forward line, And I'm just without Mitrovic, I don't know where the goals are coming from right now. Jimenez is been struggling for goals ever since that injury. Carlos Vinicius, I don't think he's a guy you can rely on for consistent
written in the stars
goals.
this weekend. Written in the stars tomorrow for Carlos.
I reckon he starts actually tomorrow. But anyway, like, is he a guy who you can rely on to get even 10 Premier League goals?
But you know who could be a real problem for us tomorrow is Adama Traore. You know, you saw him come on in that Arsenal game and really cause Arsenal problems. Probably should have scored to go 3-2 up right at the end. With his pace and his power, with our high line, that could cause us problems.
Potentially. He likes to run. The good thing about Traore is he likes to run with the ball at his feet rather than in behind. And if he was more of an in behind threat, I'd be a bit more worried than that threat. But look, Adama Traore is just one of those things. If he has a good day, there's just nothing you can do. Like, he can just turn it on and all of a sudden be possible to play against. But at the end of the day, the reason he's at Fulham is because he's got no end product. So at the end of the day, if
he was at Barcelona.
Yeah, it was a long time ago. You know, there's a reason he should, look, if he had an end product, he would still be at Barcelona. That's the reality. So the reason he got a free transfer to Fulham, no one was interested in him because he's just lacks that effectiveness in the final third. And I actually think he's got a good cross on him, but who's he crossing it to at the end of the day? It's tough to see who they're relying on to score goals. And I think the case in point for us is if we can keep it tight and make sure we're not making any mistakes or conceding any stupid goals, and especially making sure that we score the first goal, I envisage it being a tough day for Fulham. Even if Spurs make many changes, I just think Fulham, I just struggle to see where their clinical edge is coming from, and they're going to need that if they're going to get the win, I feel, tomorrow.
Yeah, I just feel like we need to watch out massively for these players like Adama Traore and Carlos Vinicius. Sometimes football works itself in mysterious ways, and with the kind of, we were linked with Adama Traore for so long. He likes a goal against us. Vinicius obviously was on our books in that season under Jose Mourinho. So I always think, like, when these kind of when football brings up these kind of stories, it sometimes does throw it back in our faces, doesn't it? Especially as a Spurs fan.
Yeah, that always happens to Spurs. It seems to always bite us back somehow. Former players coming back to haunt us, and players who we should have signed ending up always having worldies against us. So look, and the Carabao Cup is important for me. We got to take the cup seriously. We're not in Europe this season. That surely adds further importance to the domestic cup competition. So I want to see us take it really seriously. Even though we got changes and stuff, I want to see a team out there ready to fight for the win. And we got to make sure that we don't allow circumstances to go against us. We maintain control of the game. Even though Fulham are a good team, I'm confident of going there and winning tomorrow. I feel like Fulham's heads are elsewhere right now. I don't think it's going to be focused on tomorrow's game or in the cups with the transfer window closing and Marco Silva not on the touchline as well. There's a lot of different circumstances, but look, we lost to a team whose manager was in prison once, so you can't exactly take anything for granted.
Yeah, definitely as a Spurs fan, you can't take anything for granted. But let's be honest, Craven Cottage is usually a happy hunting ground for us. I think we've won there our last 3 games. We've beaten Fulham 4 out of the last 5 games with 1 draw happening. But you cast your mind back to that 1-0 win last season in early January. I mean, that was our first away win in a long time, wasn't it? And I think, like, for some reason, we love going to Craven Cottage. We love getting results there. And I can remember so many times I've been there and we've absolutely wiped the floor or got edgy victories. I remember that one with Winks in the last minute, which was brilliant. And I think one with like Vlad Kirikez scoring a worldie in the last minute as well. For some reason, we get so many last minute goals there to take the 3 points. But in a cup game, I just love away games in the cup under the lights, especially when it's in London, so you don't have to travel so far. They've got
5,500 fans there.
Exactly. They've got a bit of a different edge to it, and with the good atmosphere you've seen coming from the Spurs away ends and then even at home as well, you do envisage it's going to be a bit of a feisty atmosphere tomorrow night.
Yeah, I hope so. I hope there's a little bit of an edge to it. I think that would actually suit Tottenham the way we've started the season as well. It's a bit weird that we've started the season with so many away games. We've had 1 home game so far. This will be our 5th game of the season,
and we don't play at home till mid-September.
Yeah, which is really a strange way. Like, hopefully, obviously, it'll mean we got some home games coming up. But
it's called character building.
Yeah, but I agree. I think it's a good thing in a way. The way that, like, because it means that we'll feel more comfortable at home, but we need to build that up because the last season away from home, many times we were just atrocious and we didn't see him up for the fight a lot of games, and that seems to completely flip this season under Postecoglou and the way the players are approaching these games. So look, 5,500 fans going to be there tomorrow, so the away end's going to be absolutely buzzing and loud and proud like they have been all season so far. So I'm buzzing to be there tomorrow. But look, Craven Cottage is no easy place to go. I do envisage a bit of a tight game, but I think like it's going to be one of those games that if we can take the lead in the first half, I think Spurs can take control, and I think the longer it stays at 0-0, it'll play into Fulham's hands. We just need to make sure that we're looking as sharp and as creative as we have been of the first few games of the season. If we do that, I think Fulham are going to struggle to really contain us.
Look, I think we got goals in us, obviously, with the way we play under Ange. But I want to see defensive solidity like we have seen in the last game, especially where we didn't give Bournemouth more or less any spare change throughout the game. And I want us to start with those two centre-backs that have given us a good base to build upon, and then kind of build the team around that. And I think if we can do that, then it'll be very hard for Fulham to try and get goals against us. I think their main threats will kind of be in behind, maybe the free kicks and set pieces by Andreas Pereira. They're really dangerous. But where do you see kind of Fulham hurting us?
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, with most teams, considering how we play, I think on the wing is obviously going to be a source of joy for them if they can get a quick transition into those kind of areas. I actually see the midfield being something to watch out for, because I think João Palhinha is a phenomenal player. I think he's a player who could easily be playing in one of the top 6 teams in that centre of the midfield. I think he's a really good box-to-box player. He showed both sides to his game against Arsenal, I felt, in a really effective way. I think he's an absolute machine when it comes to tackles and interceptions and the amount he gets involved. So I think if we allow him, if we're not up to the task aggressively in the centre of the park, he can end up controlling that midfield, and you've got to be careful of that. I think Andreas Pereira playing in that little number 10 role, on his day, he can be a very good player, and he can create chances, and he's got a good shot from outside the box as well. So I think he would. I would say, like, tactically, their best player, the best option would be through the wide areas, but I don't rate their wide players right now. I'm looking at who they played on the weekend. D. Cordova-Reid and Wilson started the game. Obviously, they got Willian and Traore in the squad as well, but I think we would have more than enough to contain D. Cordova-Reid and Wilson with our fullbacks, even if we do change the fullbacks.
I'm more worried if Traore and Willian play on the wings.
What I'm worried about, I'll tell you what I'm worried about. If we play Ben Davis and then they put Traore on the wing, that's a situation to be a bit concerned about, because I can see him taking Davis to the cleaners, and it'll be whether he can then create the chances once he's beaten Davis. I think he'll find it easy work. If we have Udogie there, I'm a bit less worried. But I think Ben Davis on the left, get up against Traore, would be a bit of a recipe for disaster.
Yeah, I get that. But, if Van der Ven does play, I think he can also counteract what Adama Traore can bring. I think you'll be going. I know, obviously, Adama Traore is just sheer pace and power. But I think Van der Ven, the qualities that he does have, can counteract that.
Yeah, yes, but if Davis is there, like, I think Udogie's got enough pace where Van der Ven wouldn't have to cover as much ground to get over to protect him. Whereas I think Van der Ven would have to be doing a lot of work to support Ben Davis. You know
what I wouldn't mind in this game? If Van der Ven plays left back and you bring in Davinson Sanchez at left centre back. I wouldn't mind that at all, to be honest.
Something to consider. The only reason I wouldn't do it is because it looks like we're trying to get rid of Sanchez and it's very close to the window. So do you want to put a move in jeopardy or anything like that? And is his head right as well right now, considering he could be on the verge of a move? So
I mean, look, he's been rumoured to move all summer, and every time he stepped in, he's looked really good. Yeah, but
he's been trying to earn a move, but now it's getting to the last week, so he could literally move today. You know what I mean? We don't really know, so we'll have to wait and see. But I think Davis will come in, just because I think we need a few changes. But I'm worried about the situation. But if Wilson starts, I am a bit more comfortable with that situation on the wing. So I think tactically, Fulham's best route is obviously out wide. But I think in quality-wise, where they best players are is probably central midfield with Pereira and Paulinho, I would say.
Yeah, and I think, like, in terms of our midfield, which we're going to look at, he's already confirmed that Giovanni Lo Celso is going to play in this game. So he's going to be that creative spark for us instead of probably James Maddison. Do you think the other holding players, you assume probably Højbjerg and Skip, as opposed to maybe Bissouma and Sarr, do you think that's enough for us in midfield?
I would like one of Basuma and Sarr, to be honest, to be starting this game. I think he will change it completely just to get the fresh legs. And you saw how leggy Basuma and Sarr both were against Bournemouth in that second half. So I do envisage a completely changed up midfield three. But quality-wise, I would like to see one of Basuma and Sarr just because I feel like Højbjerg and Skip, is there enough ability to carry the ball forward like we see with Højbjerg, with Basuma and Sarr, with their ability to drive the ball forward on the ball and beat players and have that ability to build up the play and not just looking for progressive passes, but also when they do spot the space, being able to drive into it. I've got question marks about Højbjerg and Skip's ability to do that, and I have no doubt off the ball that they're competent enough in this kind of game to be able to shut out what Fulham are offering and contain them. But I'm a bit worried about when they're coming up against João Palhinha, if he does start, that is, if he come up against even him by himself, he is such a formidable opponent that like it would take a very good player like a Basuma to be able to beat him on a consistent basis. And do I back someone Højbjerg and Skip to be able to get past him consistently enough to open up the space and to end up being more creative? We have to wait and see. I've got my question marks about that. I don't know. I reckon it's going to be the case that in the second half we're going to have to bring on one of them.
Yeah, I mean, I hope not, because you're looking at Giovanni Lo Celso and the way he performed in pre-season. I mean, he was brilliant. He really was at his creative best, the best we've seen him in a long time in a Spurs shirt. And if he can kind of bring that form into this game, then I don't think we should have too much to worry about. Obviously, it is a good midfield we're going up against, but our ambition should be much higher than that. And I think Højbjerg has shown in the Premier League before how he can unlock a defence, he can play progressive passes, and he can be tight in the middle of the park as well. The one I'm worried about is Skip, to be honest, out of the three.
No, I'm not worried about Lo Celso. I'm not worried about any of them as individually. I'm a bit worried about them as a collective, because I just feel like how against Bournemouth, went through the stats, we completed 14 dribbles throughout the game, yeah, and we had Udogie, Basuma, Sarr, all having that freedom to pick the ball up and drive. They see the space, but they didn't just do that because they have the freedom. They did that because they have the quality to do that as well, because of how good they are on the ball. I've no doubt Lo Celso has that ability, but I'm looking at Højbjerg and I'm looking at Skip and I'm looking at Davis as well. I'm like, okay, you're going to have the freedom to do it, but are you going to be good enough to do it? Are you going to be good enough to take on a João Palhinha and beat him and open up the space and then drive at the Fulham backline and open up the space? Are you going to be good enough to do that? Because we're going to need to do that to open up the spaces for Lo Celso, open up the spaces for the front three. And I'm sure there will be occasions where they do it, but against Fulham, against Bournemouth, we were doing it consistently throughout the game, which was allowing us to consistently create chances. And I've got a feeling like how I predict this game is we might be able to do it. Those players are going to be able to do it maybe once or twice during the game, and then if we don't score in those moments, I feel like we might struggle throughout that first half to create consistent chances, and we might have to pick our moments. But then in the second half, if we can bring on a Basuma and a Sarr, maybe even against tired legs, and then they can do their thing in the second half, I see us having a lot more joy once they come on. So I think it will just be a case of Højbjerg, Skip, tiring out the opposition without getting too much success in creating chances, and then once they're tired out, you bring on a Sarr and Basuma, and who can do their thing even against fresh legs. So imagine them against tired legs, how hard they're going to be to stop, and then I can see us really taking them to the sword a bit. Yeah,
I completely understand where you're coming from, but I do kind of feel like even with the players that you're talking about, Højbjerg, Skip and Lo Celso, as well as Ben Davis coming from the left and probably Emerson Royale coming from the right, I do feel like if we kind of can overload them in the midfield areas where João Palhinha is, we can find the joy and get past, maybe not as much as we did do against Bournemouth, definitely enough to go and win that game for sure. So it's good. It's going to be an interesting battle up at Craven Cottage, a ground that we do have quite a lot of success at. What is your score prediction going into it?
Yeah, I think my score prediction, I would say I'm going to go for 2-0 Spurs. I reckon
2 late goals.
Yeah, Either 2 late goals or one goal in the first half, and we'll clinch it in the second half. I think we'll be able to contain them. I do. I think we'll be able to limit Fulham to half chances, and it's whether they can take some of those chances or not. I guess a lot of my thinking is dependent on if Adama starts on the right against Davis or not. I think
he will.
That could be a big matchup, and if he does start, I can see him causing him a lot of trouble. Not to necessarily say he's definitely going to assist a goal or something, but I can definitely see him giving Davis a real tough ride on that right-hand side. If he does start, I would probably say 2-1 Spurs. If Adama's only coming off the bench, I'm going to go for 2-0 Spurs, and I think we should be able to contain Fulham, and I think we should have enough quality going forward, even without some of our starters, to put the ball in the back of the net a couple of times.
3 2-0s in a row.
3 2-0s in a row.
I'm going to go for 2-1 to Spurs. I think it's going to be a bit of it'll have a cup feeling to it tomorrow night, and I think both teams are going to be up for it. I think Spurs do edge it on the quality, and I think Sonny will probably be playing down the middle, and I think he's probably going to get his first goal or maybe 2 of the season. And look, I feel like if we start with the options that we said, and like you say, bringing on that quality in the latter stage of the game to really see us through the game, I think we'll be going into the next round of the cup. I'm not sure when the draw is. I imagine it's going to be Wednesday night or something. But I'm really looking forward to this one, not going to lie. So me and Sim both going to be down there at Craven Cottage tomorrow with our very own Brian Daigle as well. So watch out for all the footage coming from Craven Cottage tomorrow. I'm going 2-1 to Spurs. Sim's going 2-0 to Spurs. Let's move on to our predicted lineup. So in terms of the injuries and suspensions, what have we got?
Yeah, so Maddison obviously was a doubt for the Bournemouth game, but he obviously started the game and played very well, so he's going to be fit and available for this game. I don't think there's any new injury problems. Obviously, Udogie went off at the end of the Bournemouth game, but he said he's going to be fine and going to be fit and available. The only thing to note from Ange's pre-match press conference is he was asked whether he's going to make changes, and he said yes, he's going to make a few changes, but he noted that he's not making changes to give players a game. He's making the changes because the players were quite tired after the Bournemouth game, and he's going to need if he's going to win the game, not just to simply give players a game. Is he making changes? So I do expect some changes essentially from this game. But yeah, in terms of injury news, nothing new, I don't believe.
Nothing to note, yeah. All right, so let's get into it. 4-3-3 formation, obviously, and in goal we are sticking with Venom Vicario.
Yeah, I think so. Look, for me, it's an important game, and I think that as much as Fraser Forster is our number 2, and maybe look, there's a chance that Ange just told him, look, you're my cup keeper, and he will come in. But I feel like, look, away at a Premier League team, I still think he's going to see this as a difficult game, and he's going to want as much a chance of winning the game as possible. And I think Vicario just suits the way Ange wants to play. There's no need to change a keeper just because of tiredness as well. So I think Vicario is going to keep his place.
Yeah, I mean, me and Sim were talking about this about an hour. Who's going to play Vicario or Forster? I was kind of in the Forster camp. Sim was in the Vicario camp. And I kind of feel like if Forster's not going to play this game, he's probably never going to play unless Vicario gets injured. And we have seen, like in the past, our backup keepers come in the early rounds of the Cup. But we have gone with Vicario just because of what Ange said pretty much in his press conference, what Sim said before about picking a team to win the game and not just to give players a game. And also Vicario's been so good in the last 2 games as well. So maybe just to keep that form going. So Vicario in goal. Right back is a toss-up between Porro and Emerson. We have sided with Emerson because Porro has exerted a lot of energy in those last 2 games, had 2 really good performances. And Emerson did no wrong in the first game to really get dropped. So we think Emerson's going to come back in.
Yeah, he was dropped harshly, although you can probably say rightly at this point. But Emerson had a good start to the season against Brentford, although Rico Henry did give him a tough time going back the other way, but he did score a great goal for the equaliser. We know he can play this inverted role pretty well at this point. I don't think, and yeah, as you say, he's going to want to freshen things up, especially in those wide areas where those players exert a lot of energy. So I don't think he's going to have any hesitation being able to rotate the fullback. So we think Emerson comes in.
Right, centre back. It's a pretty simple one. Cuti Romero. I mean, I think it's so important because of the lack of depth we have at centre back. I mean, I think we've kind of got no choice but to play these 2.
Yeah, and I think you're going to want a bit of stability, even though he's making changes. You've got to keep some players from the game, and I think the spine in terms of the defense, hopefully, will be that. And yeah, with Dia's future up in the air, Tanganga's future up in the air, Sanchez's future up in the air, I think the smart thing to do is just to keep the same centre back pairing at the moment, so Romero keeps his place.
Yeah, and obviously alongside Mickey van de Ven, who's been a revelation since joining Spurs, and I loved his performance against Bournemouth. I thought it was top quality. Romero as well, to be fair, but I just felt like Van de Ven was just so important to us in the moments where Bournemouth were really trying to take control of that game. And if we do play Vicario, Romero and Van de Ven, it's going to be very hard for Fulham to try and get goals against us.
Yeah, I think so. And as I said before, I think with the other centre-backs future up in the air, you just need a bit of stability in this team to make sure that we're not giving away any stupid goals. And the best way to do that is to keep both centre-backs together. And I think Van de Ven's going to have to be, especially if Adama Traore is playing, he's going to might have his work cut out on that side, stopping those attacks at source, and it's going to be difficult. But I'm backing those two to have another good game, and they haven't conceded a goal yet when they're together. So let's hope that continues.
Yeah, amazing stats so far, unbelievable. And then the left back to finish off that back four, we're going to go with Ben Davies as left back. I do have a feeling that could be Udogie could start this game, but we have just sided with Ben Davies.
Yeah, look, Udogie did go off obviously at the end of the game, but he is fine. I don't believe there's any kind of after effects of that injury. He just kind of kicked the ground, Ange said, but he wanted to stay on. He said Udogie wanted to stay on, but they decided with a few minutes left, let's just take him off. But Davies, to be fair to Davies, whenever he's come on off the bench this season, he's been pretty good. Did well against Man United when he came on, did well against Bournemouth with a little cameo. So I feel like he's going to want to put his trust in Davies, but I am worried about him because if Adama does start, I just think Davies at 30 years of age, I see him struggling to keep up with him. I mean, most defenders do at the best of times, but especially Davies, who's just not the quickest for a fullback. His pace is really not great. And if he's left in a one-on-one situation with Adama, I just see Adama burning him every single time. So I am worried about that situation, but I think Ange is going to want to trust him.
Well, let's run through that back line one more time. It's Vicario in goal, Emerson right back, Davies left back with Romero and Van de Ven in the centre-back positions. When you're looking at the number 6, it looks as though, we think Bissouma will get a rest in this game and Pierre-Emile Højbjerg will come in, who's been brilliant so far this season whenever called upon, really. Yeah,
for me, there was some clips going around on social media of him misplacing a pass, I think against Man United, and the caption was, "I can't wait for this guy to leave the club" and stuff like that. And I'm like, I don't know what you've been watching, because every time he's come on, he's been absolutely great. He's absolutely fine. I've had no
apart from him nearly giving Man United a goal, but apart from that
one moment that was what I was talking about. He was circling on social media, but I think largely when he's come on, he's provided security, a bit of comfort. I think he's actually had quality going forward as well. We know he has that in him, in his locker, to pick out passes. I think he can play that number 6 position. The only thing I'm worried about is the biggest difference between him and Bissouma is just Bissouma's ability to drive with the ball, when he's got press resistance, essentially. I do think Højbjerg struggles with that element of the game. That's part of the reason why I believe he's upgradable, because his ability to be press resistant is very, very limited. But I do believe if he's able to get time and space on the ball and look for passes forward, he's very capable of picking out forward passes and accurate passes as well. So I'm backing him to have a good game, but whether he can open up the space the same way as Bissouma can do remains to be seen.
Look, I don't think he can, but I mean, he does have his own strengths as well. And like you say, I mean, we've seen him play those progressive passes through the lines before. I know it's not anything to say because we've been a team managed by Conte and Mourinho over the past 3 years, but he is one of the ones from midfield that was consistently trying to provide for us going forward, as much as you don't really associate him as one of those kind of players. But I think he kind of gets a bad rap for just passing sideways and backwards, but that's not just his game, is it?
Definitely not, and the stats bear that out. He's consistently in the league amongst the highest number of progressive passes consistently, and people just focus on him paying it sideways and backwards because maybe he does it too often, a bit needlessly, when there are opportunities to play it forward, and I agree with that. But he definitely has the ability to play it forward with quality, and we've seen that before.
And I think Ange will be drilling that into him if he does start the game, to keep passing it forward, keep ball moving forward. So I think Højbjerg's due a good game, to be honest. Alongside him, we're going to look at Ollie Skip. I think out of the midfield 3 that we're going to pick, he's probably the one I worry about the most.
Yeah, look, hasn't shown it anyway. The quality, like those little moments that Sarr shows, not necessarily off the ball, but it's more about when he's in and around the box. A little through ball to Maddison and the goal he scored against Man United, and that ability to get in the box and get shots off. That's what Skip needs to show he's capable of doing. Obviously, he got a double against Barcelona in pre-season, but whenever he's played in the Premier League, especially when he started against Brentford, he just hasn't shown that ability to find space in and around the box and get picked out and get shots off or provide quality with his passing. So definitely needs to up his game. I do think he's a player who's got more to his locker than he has shown, and I know off the ball as well, we know he always gives 100%, and he's not going to be a liability from that front, but we need more quality from him on the ball if he's going to be a consistent player for Ange.
Yeah, and to make up that midfield three with Giovanni Lo Celso, and he is going to be a key component in this team if we're going to get anything out of this game.
Yeah, he's going to be the one we rely on for creativity, and look, if he can put in performances that he showed in pre-season, we're not going to have a problem. I really believe he's got high ability. We know he's got a good vision. He's got a sweet left foot. He's got good dribbling ability. The only thing I think Maddison I would say has really shown over him right now is that ability to just kind of have that 360 swivel, like turn in any direction. I feel like Lo Celso needs to show the confidence to be able to do that consistently, to wriggle out of tight spaces. But you give him a bit of space and he can definitely create chances, and I'm hoping he can do that on Tuesday night.
So Højbjerg, Skip and Lo Celso in the middle of the park. Let's move on to the front line, and it's going to be a debut on a starting debut anyway, in his old stomping ground, and that is Manor Solomon, and I'm very excited what he can kind of throw up in this game.
Yeah, we're thinking he's going to play on the right-hand side, which means if Fulham are going to play a first-strength team, that means Anthony Robinson is going to come up against, and he's quite a tough left back to face. He's got a lot of pace, so Solomon's going to really have to be at his best to get the better of him. As I've said before, him on the right, I think he can do the role, but I'm not crazy about him on that side. I think he's a bit limited, and I still have question marks over his final ball still when it comes to getting crosses in the box in the final pass. We all know he's got great dribbling ability and he can take a man on, so let's see how he performs in this game, but I think he deserves a start because his cameos have been bright, so I'm looking forward to seeing him from the very beginning in a competitive game.
Yeah, he does look impressive on the ball. It's just about what he does when he gets to those moments and on the ball, and if he can provide those assists and those goals that we desperately need, but we just haven't seen enough of him to really judge yet. So Solomon on the right. Up top, it's a toss-up between Richarlison and Heung-min Son, and we have sided with Heung-min Son for this one. We think Richarlison will come out, but in my opinion, with a view to come back in on the weekend.
Yeah, I think so. And also, Son's captain of the team. I think he'll want to play. I think he's going to want to be involved. Obviously, he's done very well when he's been played through the centre, and I think Ange would have noticed that. I don't think it would have gone over him. So I think when you're picking a striker for this game, especially the changes, Richarlison obviously went off after the hour on the weekend. Maybe could potentially have been feeling a bit tired. So we're thinking, because he's the captaincy, he wants that responsibility. We think he's going to start through the centre in this one.
And then finally, to make up that final 11, we're going to put Ivan Perisic on the left. And I've been impressed with him so far. I thought his best cameo of the season came in the last game against Bournemouth. I thought it was really important to us for going and grabbing that win. He was relentless on that left-hand side and creating a lot for us. And I think he'll be important again this week, tomorrow.
Yeah, I agree. The only frustration I would say with Perisic coming in is you would feel like Perisic starting, that would be so much more suited to a Richarlison in the forward line than a Heung-min Son. So if it does go this way, I feel like Son linking up with Perisic, we've seen that there could be issues there. The way Perisic likes to cross the ball, like a lot of floated crosses and stuff like that, that's a lot more suited to like a Richarlison getting on his head to it or getting in the box than maybe a Son. But to be fair, Son and Perisic have linked up quite well in the little cameos that we've seen when they both on the pitch and Son goes central. So I'm not worried about it, but I would say if I was Richarlison, I'd be a bit annoyed that if Perisic gets to start, he would be on the bench.
Yeah, I think even with Perisic's cameos, Richarlison has been off the pitch every time Perisic has come on. It's been probably quite frustrating for Richarlison because, like you say, Perisic has got the best cross in our squad and Richarlison's probably the best in the air out of the front three as well. So I'd like to see them two start together, but in this game, I think it will be Perisic, Son, and Solomon as well. So that is our predicted lineup. Let's go through it one more time, top to bottom. In goal is going to be Venom, right back Emerson, left back Davis, Mickey van der Ven and Coutinho Romero in the centre-back positions. Højbjerg, Lo Celso, Skip in the middle of the park with Perisic and Solomon supporting Heung-min Son. In terms of score predictions, Sim has gone for 2-0 to Spurs. I've gone for 2-1 to Spurs. So that is our predicted lineup and predicted scorelines. Let me know yours in the comment section below. And let's move on to the call-ins. So it is your chance to have your say on the big game tomorrow night at Craven Cottage. So if you want to call in, the link is for members in the community section right now. So I think we've already got a couple of guests ready to come on. So let's bring on our next guest, or our first guest, should I say. Is his camera not on? Oh, his camera is on and he's looking full HD. Happy days.
My guy. Ariane.
What's going on, man?
What's good, guys? Long time. And we are looking full HD. Look at that. That's unbelievable. Not ruining a panel show today.
3 games into Ange Ball. The smile is still here. How you feeling?
Oh, look, man, I could not be happier with that. Like, just the way we look. I haven't been on the fan cams for a myriad of reasons. Like, for example, last week, I wasn't. Well, not last week. Last game against Bournemouth, I was on the fan cam because right after the game, I went to there's a little Arsenal fan club that's kind of close to me, and I went to watch the Fulham game to see all their tears after João Palhinha
Did you
equalized.
drink them? Did you drink them?
Of course I did. I go there quite often. Every time there's a game that I think they could drop points, they all call me Baby Spurs. But yeah, so that's where I was. That's why I haven't been turned up to the fan shows. But today I woke up quite early because my first day of college, and you guys were on, and I was like, let me come on right before I have to leave. So, look, when it comes to Ange, the performances, the revivals of some players, some of the coaching. We see some players who we thought were completely one-dimensional, had nothing to offer, like Pedro Porro down the wing where he crosses. What a guy, man. In that inverted role where you think this is the antithesis of what Pedro Porro is good at, the guy has turned into a completely revitalized player, and he is so unbelievably good in that role. So when it comes to his coaching just player to player, when it comes to his tactical just awareness to make changes when we think something's going wrong, like in that second half, it's such a breath of fresh air in literally every sense of the word. I don't think there's been a coach I've fallen in love with this quickly, this much. It's just unreal.
Yeah, I think the whole fan base is with you, Ariane. It really is. But in terms of like what changes Ange could potentially make for tomorrow, what are you thinking?
I think you guys said Son is going to start. I think Richarlison is going to start for a couple of reasons. Like this, first of all, I think he played 60 minutes or something, and Son played the full 90. And also you put in the fact that Son's 30, 31 now. I think putting him through like a start after 90 minutes is going to be a little bit harsh. I think Son might come off the bench. And I think maybe I think the midfield, you guys have basically changed it fully with Højbjerg, Skip, and Lo Celso. I don't think he's going to go for that much rotation there. I think someone like Sarr, who again came off early and has so much energy at like 20 years old, I think he's probably going to get in the middle there. But I think in defense, you've got it about right. Davies has been all right every time he's come into
you
that
must
left.
be buzzing to see Davis back in the team.
Look, man, these cup games are going to be probably like the last dance on the Davies starting 11, unless, God forbid, let me knock on wood, the dog gets injured. Look, he's been all right, but you mentioned that pace problem, and at 31 in the Premier League, with that role he's playing, where he has to track back with pace and cover. I mean, his time is slowly coming to an end, and rightfully so. Obviously, he's never been Mr. Flash. He's never been Mr. You have to keep me around. Once his contract expires, it's probably going to be that. But I think him and Emerson, who of course has to play after not featuring at all against Bournemouth, and he's fit and ready to go. He's been brilliant in that kind of role against Brentford. I think you've got the rest of the team right. And I think that's plenty of quality to beat Fulham, especially I think Calvin Bassey is going to be suspended after getting his red card against Arsenal. So we've definitely got the quality. Like, what is it? Tim Ream? No, Tim Ream's back, but Bassey won't be available. And I think that's just as well. We have the quality to break him down, and I think we should.
Yeah, with if Basuma doesn't start like maybe we're anticipating, he brings so much to that like number 6 position when it comes to being press resistant and being able to be on the half turn, dribble past players, and that's been such a massive way we've been able to like open up space, and he draws attention, and it allows Maddison or whatever to run into the space and creating opportunities. Without that ability on the pitch, what do you think Højbjerg can do to kind of make up for that lack of ability that we're going to be missing with Basuma to maybe so we can consistently still create the volume of chances we have been doing since the start of the season?
I think definitely, first of all, we don't have to worry about that kind of counter press as much as with a Bournemouth that's coached by the likes of Iraola versus like Marco Silva's Fulham. Of course, they're going to press us in the Premier League, but it's not something we have to worry about as much because Bournemouth's press is insanely aggressive, first of all. And then second of all, I think one of Ange's most redeeming qualities is that he can kind of take what he has, take the kind of 11 that he has, and he can kind of form it into what he wants. So instead of having to rely on Basuma just, putting players in the dust every time, because I think if we were a team that was just, give it to Basuma and he's going to leave 4 players out of the picture, that'd be a ridiculously predictable team, but we aren't that. I think Højbjerg has plenty of quality when it comes to playing simple passes, keeping the tempo, stuff like that. And all it takes is a couple passes forward from him, like linking up with Emerson, linking up with even the center backs. I think we're going to miss that press resistance, but I think that's more going to be something that we notice on the field in terms of, that was nice to watch versus just efficient, pure chance creation. Because I think when it comes to the chance creation, we get far more from the fact that we overload that midfield with the inverted fullbacks than we do because of Basuma's turning, which does provide us plenty of chances. But I think if we're gonna have someone like Højbjerg and Sarr in that middle, I think them two are gonna be able to link up just as well. Or Lo Celso, who tends to drop in somewhat deep, as at least not compared to Madison also drops deep, but like he also tends to come in deep. He can link up with them too, and he's someone who could also leave players in the dust with his turning and with his passing, with his dribbling. So I think it's difficult to try and compare a player to Basuma, but I think it's going to be more about the fact that we don't necessarily need all of Basuma's attributes to beat Fulham. But I think we're going to notice that difference. I just don't think it's going to be enough for Fulham to get the better of us in this cup game.
Yeah. All right, Ariane, what's the score prediction?
I'm going to say 2-0. Yeah, I think this has 2-0 written all over it.
That's the common theme these days, 2-0
right.
Spurs.
Yeah, 2-0.
And Ariane, look, the final week of the transfer window, isn't it, coming up? We're Friday's deadline. You expect a lot of business happening in this final week, and you hearing the rumours. Are you happy with what you're hearing, or a bit frustrated? What's your perception?
I'm happy because I think what the deal was we're going to get a midfielder and a center back and a striker, but Højbjerg seems like he's going to stay. So I don't think a midfielder is necessary, or and we wouldn't bring one in. And I do think that we're going to get a center back and we're going to get someone up forward, like Brennan Johnson seems to be everywhere. Some other wingers, what was it? Ansu Fati would be some deal, wouldn't he? And the other PSV winger, Johan something, not Cruyff.
Bakayoko.
Yeah. That's it. There you go.
So it sounds like he's heading off to PSG at the moment. I'm hearing.
Okay.
So maybe that might be happening. But in terms of Brennan Johnson, Ariane, is that a deal that excites you? A lot of people are kind of split on whether it's a deal to be excited about, or is it one that the data suggests maybe he's not so effective.
Look, I think he is going to be to Ange what we all thought Richarlison was going to be to Conte, where you have this player who can play, kind of in 3 or 4 positions in that front line. He can play in the attacking midfield. He can play out wide, and I think in an emergency case, he can do a job down the middle. And he is, first of all, very quick, and seems like Ange likes him, which is a massive positive for me. You have the likes of Brentford. I think Brighton holds some interest in him. If those two like a player, then just sign me right up. I think there's a lot of good signs about him. Yeah, I understand where the people's reservations come from. You have the 40-50 million price tag. But I mean, it's not my money. I care about the quality that we're bringing in, right? When we have 2 positions to fill in, if we're spending 50 million on both, then that's fine with me, right? 50 million, 20 million, 30 million just on both to get some kind of quality and some kind of depth in that excites me. It brings some pace to our, wingers, which we surprisingly lack. Like Gale, once he comes back from injury, Perisic, Kulusevski, not the paciest of players. Solomon's quite fast, but again, he's not like the paciest winger. Brendan Johnson does just bring kind of that to our attack. I think sometimes the most frustrating thing is like against Bournemouth, there was a moment where Kulusevski kind of broke like through the lines, and he just was so slow. I think also the ball got caught under his feet, and he kind of killed the counterattack. And I think a player like Johnson in that kind of situation can excel completely. And I think he has some attributes. And one thing is 11 goals and assists or something. It was a 9 goals, 2 assists, and a Forest like that last season. That is a genuinely impressive return, right? Like that is also something we have to consider. Like that is more, and I love the guy, but that is more goals than Richarlison got, and he was a 60 million.
Yeah.
And Kulusevski to combine, doubled, combined and doubled. That's because the combined double. They had 6 Premier League goals. He had 8. So when it comes to return, he's also giving us something we kind of lack. Our front line haven't been up to par this season quite. They've had a lot of good movement outside of the box and even in the box. Just that goal return hasn't been there. And I think adding a little bit of dynamism, which literally is exactly, I think, the best word to describe Brennan Johnson, is going to it's going to add that little bit of unpredictability that I think we need. Like him and Solomon, like down the left and right, something like that, against some opposition could be a very special kind of a tactical approach that we kind of don't have. And I think he unlocks having like 2 really pacey wingers just ready to come on at any moment. I think he's going to be what we all wanted Adama Traore to be all those days ago when we wanted him.
Absolutely. And you say you think 2 will come in, but how many do you think we're going to get out from now until the end of the window?
I'm going to say maybe 3. I think, the likes of Reguilon can go. Maybe Sanchez. I think Sanchez is one that could go just because he's one of the more viable players. Hopefully we could shift out, an Eric Dyer. I think Lloris, we're going to terminate his ass even if he doesn't go. So there's a couple that I think, Spence, I think he's linked to Leeds. There's 3, 4, 5 in there that I think can definitely move on. And, it's not just a Spurs thing. Every single club in the market panics in the last few days of the window, and deals just happen to get done quicker. So I think we're going to see a late flurry of deals. And I really hope the outgoing. For me, the outgoings are even a little bit more important than the incomings because people don't kind of realize, you don't train every day with these players. You don't understand the kind of impact it takes to have these people who aren't playing, people who are down, not even necessarily like bad apples who are like, just like bad influences, but players who are just not playing, not part of the squad, not included, and they know that, they bring the mood down. And I think that's something that people don't kind of realize because they're not training every day, they're not part of it every day. But it's something that makes a huge difference just to the culture of the club. And I think them going out and then hopefully bringing in a couple in is going to have a massive, massive boost just on the squad as like mentally even.
All right, Ariane, always a pleasure to speak to you, my friend. Let's hope to get to the next round of the Cup tomorrow. And thanks for coming on, my friend.
Of course. And as always, come on, you Spurs!
Come on.
Love it.
Let's keep going, people.
Because you seem quite calm today, Ariane. And he's like, come on. There he is. Come on.
And one person who's been very calm since the season has started. Let's bring him on, Mr. Brian Daigle.
Oh, these intros, Ben. These intros are getting better and better, weirder and weirder, stranger and stranger. How are you both and everyone in the chat?
What's so strange about being calm, eh, Brian?
It's
very strange me being calm. It's very strange me being calm. And
it's because it's that white room. That's what it is. That very bright. It's just he's found his inner peace.
It's a padded cell. It's a padded cell. Now, listen, we'll be nice and calm whilst we talk Fulham, and then when you inevitably ask me the transfer questions, I might not be as calm as Ariane shock horror. But yes, how are we doing?
You see his face start going red.
Brian, talk to me about...
I bought the gasoline, Simeon.
You saw our predicted lineup. You've seen the unchanged lineup in the last couple of weeks. What changes do you want to see or do you envisage happening tomorrow night?
I envisage... So I spoke to you earlier, didn't I, Ben? I see wholesale changes. The only ones that I expect to start are Vicario, Van de Ven, Romero, and Richarlison. I get what you were both saying about Son and then Richarlison back at the weekend, but I think it's the other way. I think this is Richarlison's final chance at trying to get a goal in him, and if not, then it will be Son going forward. I think the fullbacks are exactly what you said. We'll give Adoji and Porro a rest. The midfield 3, I think, will be the exact same 3 that ended Brentford. Of Højbjerg, Skip and Lo Celso. And I think the wingers will be, or the front three will be Richarlison and then Perisic and Solomon either side of him.
And is that enough to win the game, do you think? Are you worried about that lineup? Or do you think, looking at it, we should have enough to get past Fulham?
What I would say about this, Simeon, compared to other times, is that should get us through. But if not, there will be huge quality on the bench to come on and impact the game. There will be a huge amount of quality able to come on. When we've been in this situation in previous years, the bench hasn't been to our best interest and to really strengthen in all areas. But the players that we've just mentioned, or I've just mentioned, that I think will be out, they can come on and have a huge impact and change the game all over the pitch. So if they can't get it done, I think the bench will come on and finish the job off.
Are you worried about the likes of someone like Adama Traore coming up against Ben Davis and potentially a player like Carlos Vinicius coming back to haunt Spurs?
Oh, I completely forgot about Vinicius. Why did you say that, Ben? Oh, Jesus Christ. Yeah, well, he may get a goal against us. But do you know what? I love what you said. I can't wait, and I'm coming with you. I'm getting ready to see if we're really going to test Van der Ven's pace and see it in all its glory, like we've seen in that video he did for Wolfsburg, running the length of the pitch, what better person to put him up against than Adama Traore?
Yeah, exactly. If Adama Traore does get past him, he probably balloons it over the bar. And now I've said that, he's definitely scoring.
Yeah, you've done it. You said Vinicius, and now you said Traore. But you look at it. We never got to see Usain Bolt versus Linford Christie, but we will get to see Van der Ven versus Traore. So that could be one really worth looking at. And I do like Fulham's midfield. It depends how full strength they take this as well. It's got a lot of dependence on that. I think it'll be a great game, like you said, Ben. That a cup game under the lights are what this club are made on, aren't they? It's where we've had our famous nights in the cups, and it's good to be able to get to see a cup game before I go back to Toronto almost next month. So yeah, I think it's going to be a great game. I really think it's going to be a very attacking, free-flowing, end-to-end game of football.
And you see if the front three or front four, let's say Rishi does start. Lo Celso, Rishi, Perisic, Solomon in the front line. Do you think there's enough firepower there to put Fulham to bed?
There should be, but what I've also said is I think with Richarlison playing Son and Kulusevski, I sometimes question whether they're the right players to play up top with Richarlison, and whether it should be someone like a Perisic whipping those balls in, and we know what his delivery is like. That for Richarlison to run onto, that could be the missing ingredient that Richarlison has had. And we saw when we were watching the second half in the studio, Simeon, how much of an impact Perisic had when he came on. I think Perisic has to start at the moment, in all honesty, both this and probably at Burnley if he has a good game. I think when he's come on, he's shown some real intent and can really help us.
Yeah, you must be buzzing to witness or experience your first away end under Ange, because the atmosphere has been absolutely electric.
Well, put it this way. Obviously, I'm missing the home games because I won't go into the stadium for obvious reasons, and I've seen all the videos of how incredible the atmosphere was there. But going away is always something different. It doesn't matter if it's in London, if it's in Manchester, what the game is, and what I have seen from the videos from Brentford and obviously Saturday against Bournemouth, it's been outstanding. Even after the game, when the players are coming over and staying in for a bit. I mean, the last time we saw things like that is when I was with Simeon for Leicester and both of you for Man City away. Yeah. I can't wait. The away days are just simply brilliant. So I am really looking forward to it.
Score prediction?
I'm going big, mate. I'm going big. I am going by 2 clear goals, but I'm going 4-2 Tottenham.
4-2.
I'm going to goal
get his goal. Is he going to get his goal, Richarlison?
Richarlison to get all 4. And Fulham's 2. No, I've got a feeling Solomon. Like you were saying with Vinicius, coming back to haunt his old team and getting a goal. I think Solomon will. I think Lo Celso will. And yeah, let's go for a Richie brace. Let's really be optimistic before we start talking about transfers where I'll be anything but, and say Richie's going to get 2.
Before we get on to the transfers, from someone that was at Nebworth and saw Robbie Williams play, what was your reaction to him singing that Big Ange song yesterday?
Mate, I spoke to you about this before. It's like literally, we were on the panel show where he sang it live when we were on stream with him, and obviously that had done the rounds. And then you saw that It got to Australia. I'd seen other podcasts talking about it. I'd seen people not even related to football talking about it. And I was at AEW yesterday with a mate. And then literally my phone went mad. And I could see Robbie Williams tagged on loads of Tottenham things. I thought, oh, what's going on? And I waited till I got out. And when I actually heard him, I didn't know if it was one of those lip syncing things where it's someone singing over Robbie. And then I was like, huh? And then I was like, no, he's singing that. And then he said at the end, guess I'm a Spurs fan now. I was like, bloody hell. What? Congratulations. I mean, I don't know how many people say it, but congratulations to James. I mean, you talk about hitting the big time. Robbie Williams singing your own words to his iconic song is something to be damn proud of. So well done, James.
Yeah, do you reckon Alfie Devine, big Port Vale fan, Robbie Williams, must have been the Alfie Devine pool?
I think that's what got the loan deal done. It was only if Robbie said, I will join you on loan and grace you with my presence, Port Vale, if Robbie sings the Angels song. And I think that's what got the deal done. But yeah, it's great. This is what's happening with Ange, isn't it? And Ange Postecoglou, the positivity and everything is getting around and other fans are picking up on it. It's been spotted. And let's just hope this continues.
Yeah, so we got to talk about transfers now.
Oh, Jesus. Goodbye.
What's your opinion on Brennan Johnson first and foremost?
Okay, so I think he's a good player. I do think he's a good player. Do I think he's what we need right this moment? No, I don't. I don't. And what I don't get is striker, winger. It's scattergun Tottenham once again. I understand the homegrown. I understand the deal can be struck because Boris wants some of our players. Totally with that. I do think I'm not one of those that are split in the camp of whether I think he's a good player or not, because I do think he's a very good player. I just think that our assurance, our requirements and our needs at the moment aren't on the right wing. It's striker, centre back, and if we can, another central midfielder if Højbjerg or someone does leave. There are three set priorities.
Unless the plan is to move Sonny inside, and then you use Sonny and Richarlison as the number 9s, and then there is a need to bring in another winger.
Touche, Ben. Touche. I didn't look at it that way. Honestly, that is a good point. But again, you're looking at this. You look at people like we said, Gift Orban.
Yeah. Where
he is an out-and-out striker. Do I think Son, if he moves forward, can get Harry Kane levels and ever will? No, I think if you're looking at Heung-min Son, mate, I think you're more looking at Heung-min Son's successor. I think you're looking at someone that can play out wide for when he goes, and that could be next season, it could be 2 seasons, whatever. But it's getting in a young player ready. Listen, again, if Ange Postecoglou has come out and said, I want him, and they are come out of his words, then fair play. Fair play. Go get this deal done. But we'll have to wait and see. I saw Paul O'Keefe tweeted it yesterday going, we began contact early doors or early parts of the deal. And I was like, I responded to him going, early parts of the deal, last week of the transfer window, Daniel Levy. A sentence that does not fill me with confidence of any kind. And we shall see. And then I've seen him saying as well, Paul O'Keefe today, saying a striker is unlikely unless there's a dramatic turn in events or a late opportunity. Words to that effect. And I'm like, so we've had 3 months, sold our record goal scorer, and now we might only be going for a striker if an opportunity arises. And I mean, is Gift Orban not an opportunity?
Brian, some people would suggest Harry Kane leaving for a record fee is a pretty dramatic turn in events. But maybe not.
Yeah, I mean, but not the people that matter, Simeon. Not the people that matter. That's just another day at the office. That's just another ka-ching, ka-ching, ka-ching.
How do you assess the business that we've done so far?
Okay, so we'll break this down. The players that have come in have been great additions. There is no doubt about that whatsoever. But what this window was for was a lot of players out the door, get them off the wage bill, clear the deadwood, and to really strengthen this squad. We were a very, very weak team last season, and we know this. Mm-hmm. We've now got it up to a good standard. But if we want to challenge and be serious and do things, we need to bring extra players in. We've done well, don't get me wrong, but should I settle for well? Should I settle for bringing in players that we should have brought in or in positions that we've needed for 3 years, i.e. Van der Ven, Maddison, and go, oh, okay, we sorted that it took 3 years, now I'm happy. No. And again, as it stands, it's another window where we've balanced the books. Yeah. There's no outlay, there's no spending. Yes, players have come in that are of good quality, don't get me wrong. Can't argue with that whatsoever. Have they had an impact? 100%. Do I think they'll do well in the future? 100%. But we've balanced the books. We've got rid of our biggest asset. 86 million, we're led to believe, was cash up front. Money that's come in from other ventures or other avenues, revenue streams as we like to call them, and partnerships, strategic partnerships. And we've balanced the books. And if we don't bring in another centre-back, one injury to one of them, not the best. Richarlison hasn't got his shooting boots on. Does Son hasn't scored yet. All right, he hasn't been playing the best. If one of them get an injury, again, we're in a bad place. So we're 2-3 injuries away from another. I mean, you can say that about a lot of teams. But in defence and up front, one big injury to either, and then we're like, oh, well, who have we got to come in? It's like, oh yeah, no one. That's the worry for me. That is the worry for me.
If you're going to make a prediction, Brian, come Friday, how many players do you reckon we're going to bring in from now to the end of the window?
I think Tosin will get done.
Really?
And if I don't know why, I'm starting to get the feelings that he will come in. I just don't know why it's him that I think will come in. I was thinking Brennan Johnson, but I just think it will be Tosin Adebayo. And if he comes in, I'm a fan of his. I'll be very, very happy if he comes in. Really happy if he comes in. But that's it. That's all I can see happening. And then we'll have our final day scramble to try and get players in. As long as I don't see at any point we're at the end of the window, no one's coming and Clement Longlay's name is used again. Because I don't know why. I honestly don't think that's over. I'm being serious. I don't think if we can't get anyone in, that might be coming in, but we'll have to wait and see.
How many out do you reckon from now until the end?
4.
Who will they be?
Yeah. I think Tanguy and Dembele. Yeah. Don't know how, don't know where, but I think he'll go. I think we could see Spence out. I think we could see Reguilon out. And then either Sanchez or Tanganga.
You think Dyer's sticking around?
Not if it was my choice, I'd literally kick him out the stadium and kick him out the training ground and say goodbye, you're not welcome. And then I think after the window we'll see Hugo's contract terminated. So I'm not really counting him as an outgoing. I think it'll be a contract rip up. But unfortunately, as much as I would like Dyer to be the number one out, I don't think he will.
Well, if Lloris wants to play again this season, or especially until January, he'll have to have that contract ripped up before the window ends. Maybe
Lloris to have one last hurrah tomorrow night.
Yeah, that's mate. All I need is a heart attack at bloody. That's all I need. Seeing him at the back, that would just be typical, wouldn't it? I think he's played his last game for Spurs. It's a shame that he hasn't had a chance to say goodbye to Spurs fans properly.
Yeah, don't worry, we gave the Shakhtar goalkeeper a great send-off at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium.
That's all right then. That's all right. It's all sorted then. That's just typical, isn't it? Shakhtar give their goalkeeper a send-off at our ground. This club, I just don't get it.
He was a great servant to Shakhtar, Brian. So.
Yeah, you can't forget that.
Yeah, Hugo Lloris for those 10 years was just he didn't really care, did he? Didn't really care. Just the 10 years with us.
And club captain.
And gave the chances to move to bigger clubs to stay with us. So we'll see. But I think Lloris goes after the window closes.
Yeah, you're probably right. But Brian, look forward to seeing you tomorrow and have a good day.
And you guys, and as always, Levy out.
Big up, Brian. Got a few super chats to get through. First of all, welcome a new member, Spurs Live. Welcome to Silver. Welcome to the family. Michael Hellman says that Levy is gambling our success until January. Do you agree with that?
will depend how the next few days go. But I guess potentially if we don't get another forward player, and I think most importantly centre back. If we don't get another centre back in before the end of the window,
one injury, we're out our legs.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's probably right.
And Jorical with the super chat says, "I claim ownership of the winger in, Sonny up top plan."
I see. So only Jory can do that then.
Yeah, only Jory. No one else can say it's their idea because it's the Jorical's idea.
How much to get it off him so we can start using it?
Let us know in the comments section, Jory. How much can we pay you to take that idea off you? But let's move on to our next guest, and it's Michael. Yes, Michael. Long time no speak. Boys. How you doing, buddy?
Yeah, I'm fine. Currently looking for a job without much success, but yeah.
Do you play centre back?
Actually, that depends.
Can you play up front?
No, unfortunately. Yeah, the only thing I was good at with football was shooting from distance and passing, but I am awful at like running with the ball, dribbling, etc., etc. I'm more of a like centre back, centre defensive mid, that type of guy.
Are you better than Dyer?
Of course not now. Yeah, probably.
But Michael, talk to me. Big game tomorrow night, second round of the League Cup. What kind of changes do you envisage happening from the weekend?
I think we will see like a healthy mix of the first squad and subs. I think we are, like Ange already alluded to Lo Celso starting, right? So I think Maddison will get rested. I think Bissouma will get rested definitely. So one of Skip or Højbjerg, most likely in the midfield. Like the biggest like point of contention for me is the forward line, because I completely back the idea of Perisic starting on the left, and I think Solomon will get his minutes, right? But what to do with Richarlison? Do you really want to start Son or like against Fulham from the get-go? Like let's be honest, Son is not the youngest. I'm not saying that he cannot handle playing on Tuesday and Sunday or Saturday, I think.
Saturday, yeah.
Yeah. I'm not saying he can't handle that, but I would much rather see Richarlison start. And I can't believe that I'm saying that, but it's just about like player, like reserving the strength for a Premier League tie. I think even if we played Richarlison for 45 minutes and Son for 45, that will do us a lot more good than just playing Son for 90 minutes, for example, right? I think we will start with Richarlison, Perisic and Solomon as a front three. But listen, like I'm trusting this manager with my heart, right? It's whatever he chooses. I think he won't like dismiss this game, and I think he already showed that he respects the opposition, in my opinion. Something that I think we lacked throughout the years. I don't know if you guys sometimes got this feeling, but I feel like in previous years with Conte, Jose, or even sometimes even earlier, I think we kind of sometimes disrespected the opposition in cup games. By disrespect, I mean we completely fielded a new 11 of players that weren't playing for a couple of months, and then it turns out to be like really dreadful, right? That's why I'm saying I feel like we'll see a mix of players that are in this game ready state, but a couple of new signings to rest the more important players, right? And I think those players that will be rested will still feature just like for maybe 30-20 minutes, something like that, right?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, but looking at this game, Fulham haven't had the best start to the season at the moment. There's a lot of things going on, Mitrovic leaving, and things aren't completely happy. Although they did battle back on the weekend and got a point against Arsenal with 10 men.
Big up Fulham.
But looking at the game, considering we're set to make quite a few changes, are you still confident, even if Fulham go full strength, we'll still have enough to get a comfortable victory, or are you envisaging a tough game?
I think this game will be way tougher than many think. I completely get the idea of Fulham's start so far being pretty piss poor. Let's be honest, even in the Arsenal game, it's more about like Arsenal giving them two like stupid chances to score the goal. On the balance of play, I think Arsenal were the better team and probably should have won that game. And it pains me to say that, right? Although I'm extremely happy that Fulham took points of them, but nevertheless, I think against Brentford they played really badly, and against Everton they were lucky as hell to win that game. With all that being said, I still think it's a competent team. I still think they have players that can give us many issues. I think if they field like their first 11, something close to their first 11, especially the midfield area, if we rotate heavily in the midfield, I think that might be like a point of problems for us, right? Because if they start Palinha, Pereira, and Jukic, I don't remember the guy's name.
Lukic.
That guy. So I think if we start with like Højbjerg, Skip, and Sar or Lo Celso or something like that, I think we might have a battle there, right? So I think this game will be a lot closer than many people think, but I still think we have enough in the tank to win that game.
Will it be a case of relying on the subs to kind of win the game, or do you think the starting 11 will be enough? Oh, is he still there?
Can you hear us?
Hello? Yeah. Sorry, boss. I think something lagged for me. I heard it. You were talking to him about whether it's our subs that will decide the game. Yes, I think this will happen. I think we'll probably, the way I see this game is we'll probably come really quick out of the block, probably give them a couple of scares. I even think we'll score in the first half. But then I think Fulham will come out strong in the second half, probably score a goal, and I think we'll have to bring on a couple of first teamers to seal the game. And I think this game will finish in a 2-1, but it will be a good and a tough game in my opinion.
Okay. Score prediction, Michael?
2-1.
Yeah,
2-1. Who's going to get the goals?
Oh, holy shit! That's a tougher question. I think
just give us a Richarlison double, please.
Oh boys, like that. The topic of Richarlison is a really tough one because, like, I honestly have nothing positive to say about his performances, and I don't want to be this guy, but I seriously think that nothing good will come of him playing for us. And I know it's really harsh on him. And listen, all I want is for it to kick me up the ass, and because I said it, and for him to score 20 goals, that's what I would love, right? I just don't feel like the longer he goes without scoring, the worse it will get, in my opinion. It's clear to see that he is a confidence player, that he is kind of a streaky player in a sense that he needs to perform to keep performing, right? When you look at the World Cup with Brazil, I think he scored in like the first or the second game, and he suddenly like was a bit unlocked. I know that he has like a whole host of creators in that Brazil team to put it on the plate, right? But still, this Richarlison that is playing right now for us wouldn't score those goals at the World Cup if he was at that mental state, right? So I would love it if he scored tomorrow. But I don't think it will happen. I think it will be, again, a goal from midfield, probably Lo Celso, the most likely one. And I think one of the wingers will score, either Solomon or Perisic, or Son when he comes on. I just struggle to see Richarlison like scoring. That as tough as it sounds, right?
Yeah. Look, Michael, the transfer window ends on Friday. We're only a few days to go with lots of deals in the offing, outgoings and incomings. What do you expect to see before the window closes? And are you happy with a lot of the noise you're hearing around what deals are in the works?
So with our transfers so far, I'm really happy with all of them. I think we absolutely nailed it with Mickey van de Ven. He was a guy I was looking at for a long time. Actually, funny story, I was in Wolfsburg around 1 year ago, and I was at Wolfsburg game. They played Cologne, and they lost 4-2 actually, but I saw Mickey van de Ven. I saw some qualities in him. I didn't really know who he was back then, but actually that Wolfsburg team kind of started interesting me. And I was watching them on and off like throughout the previous season. And I think we actually we have I don't want to call it a generational gem or whatever, but I am really happy that we signed him. I think all the other signings, especially Maddison, nailed on perfect for the system. But it's a really strange thing, because if I were to rate this transfer window so far, it would be probably like a 7 or 8 out of 10. But it can really quickly go to a 4 or a 3. And I'm gonna go out there and say it. I think Brennan Johnson is another Richarlison in the making. I really don't like this guy and how he plays. Nothing personal against him. I just don't think he possesses enough quality to impact this team in any manner. I know Kulusevski has been off form, or however you want to call it, for past like 6 weeks. Sorry, 6 months or even more. I still think Kulusevski is a way better player than Brennan Johnson, right? And I don't want us to spend 50 million on the right winger who will be, in my opinion, who will quickly become a sub option, right? And I don't think Brennan Johnson would be happy with it himself, right? I think he suits teams like Forest way more. I think it's really a strange thing, because I don't think he is that bad in Forest, but I totally don't think he will suit our team.
Why is that? Why is that? What don't you think? What attributes don't you think he has that will suit the Spurs team?
I think so. Listen, it's only 3 games too, right? But what I got from this team so far is that we are really good in those intricate passing sequences that we do, right, between our midfield and the wingers. I feel like Brennan Johnson is way more suited to a counter-attacking, pacey team that needs to break quickly, right? That's not our style of play right now. I think if we were under Conte, he would be a way better signing than he is right now. I feel like his first touch isn't really that good. I feel like his passing isn't really that good, and this is something that I would look for in a winger for our system, right? And again, I know that Kulusevski isn't the best dribbler out there. Well, at least for past 6 months. The first 6 months that he had with us, he was brilliant at dribbling. But something is missing right now, right? But I still feel like he's way better in those intricate, passing opportunities, looking for passes. Whereas I think with Brennan Johnson, he would be way better if we were playing a bit of a lower, I'm not saying low block necessarily, but his best attribute for me is carrying the ball at pace, right? Not necessarily dribbling, but just, blasting it forward and just running at it. He's actually quite good at scoring, but I don't think we'll utilize that set of attributes that he has well, right? I feel like in our team, he would just find himself roaming around the penalty box when we are pinning teams back, and he wouldn't really offer that complicated creative play. That's just the feeling that I got from Brennan Johnson, right? And again, if we buy him and he proves me wrong, I'm happy to admit that I was wrong. For me right now, I feel like it's not really like the best business, especially at that price point. That's also one thing I have to mention. Like 50 millions is. I would honestly, if you gave me a chance, I would much rather have Marcus Edwards right now than Brennan Johnson.
Wow, really, Marcus Edwards?
Yeah, and I think the fee would be similar. If we want to get a homegrown English winger, I think Marcus Edwards would be a better suit for our system currently. And I'm not saying I want us to buy Edwards. It's when I compare the two, I just don't feel like Johnson fits our team well, right? And quickly, if you allow me to say that, I think we'll bring in a center back, and I would love it if it was Tosin Adebayo. I just feel like if he wanted to come here, I think it would have been wrapped up already. I just feel like he has his. Every time I see any reports about him, it's always like he wants to go to Monaco, he wants to go to France, he wants to go somewhere else. I just have a feeling he doesn't really want to come here because he kind of knows that he won't be maybe a first choice starter. And that's why I think this deal hasn't gone through yet. So if it's not him, then I don't know. I honestly don't know who we bring. I just have a feeling we will bring a center back, especially if Sanchez or Dyer go out. Then definitely we'll be bringing center back in.
How many do you think we're going to get out from now until the end of the window?
I think Tanguy will go definitely. Spence on loan. Dyer or Sanchez. I think one of them, not both. I think we will probably see Tanganga go. Maybe on loan, maybe we'll sell him. And did I mention Spence?
Yeah.
Spence, Tanguy, Dyer or Sanchez, Lloris,
Reguilon.
Region. Lloris will probably get his contract cancelled after the window. So that's 5. I think maybe one surprise awaits, but I think 5 is the most that we can hope for, in my opinion. Actually, the rest of them, I'm kind of happy with keeping them. Kind of like, some names more than others, but I feel like it's a good nucleus for a squad.
Michael, good luck with the job search, and thank you for coming on today. And we'll speak to you next time.
I need it, mate. I need it.
Cheers, mate.
Cheers, mate.
All right, and let's keep going. I think the last caller of the day, and you know what that means. It's time for KPV.
Hello, boys.
Hello, KPV. How are you?
I'm good, man. I see you got your prediction right, Ben. 3-0 Chelsea, and you got Sterling. So, big 12-pointer. So, Ben turned the overall deficit, and he's now winning. Predict the Prem, but it's on the ball. And as I said on Saturday, everyone please vote for WeAreTottenhamTV. Best content. Please vote, everyone.
Exactly. Listen to the man.
You heard me on Friday as well. Subscribe to On the Ball, everyone. If you haven't done, subscribe, because you're missing out.
100%. Anyone who's not subscribed to On the Ball is definitely missing out.
And finally, my man Kulu scored at the weekend. I have him on the back of my Spurs shirt. People who are saying I know some of you have been harsh on him, Ben. You've been harsh on him, but enough of this, man. Like, yeah, he didn't have a good performance, but finally scored his first goal of the season, as he did against Southampton on the opening day last year. So he loved scoring on the opening day, but that's 2 times now, 2 seasons in a row. Home to Southampton, now away at Bournemouth. Great goal.
But Bournemouth wasn't the first game.
No, Southampton was, I said, last season.
Okay.
Well, get it right.
Carl, would you expect a lot of changes for Fulham? What kind of team would you like to see?
Well, like, I'd start Solomon and Perisic, because Kulu and Son starting with Richarlison ain't right, because, like, yeah, as Daigle said, like, they're not the right people. So I'd start Perisic and Porro, because they can do crosses. I know Son's done it, but I start Son up top, because, as I've stated many times, he was the main man for Spurs when Kane was out injured, and Son was banging in the goals. So he will, but like last season, he didn't have a good start to the season, and he finally started scoring when he came off the bench against Leicester, a hat-trick. So, but he's the captain, but he will score, and our record at Craven Cottage is brilliant. We just love winning there. But the last time they beat us, they had a certain old player in Berbatov. They beat us twice, and they had 9
Is that the last time they beat us?
Yes, 12-13. They beat us home and away. Berbatov, I think, scored in both of them games. So that was the last time they beat us. When Bale had a great season and then went to Madrid for big money, and we all know what happened during the summer. We got some crap players on Ericsson, Lamella, no offense, but Soldado, Kirikas, Paulinho, no offense, he was great, but he got sent off against Liverpool under AVB. We got slapped 5-0 at home. So Paulinho, shit, we got a few bad players, I said. But we need to spend that Kane money, man. Like, tomorrow, another London derby. Like, we beat Fulham twice last season. Kane scored home and away, and I believe Højbjerg scored at home as well. So
yes,
Højbjerg, I expect him to score tomorrow. Like, people on Twitter are saying, "Oh, I can't wait for him to leave. He's not good." Are you mad? Like, we've had him for nearly 4 years. We brought him in under Mourinho when we sold Carl Walker-Peters to Southampton. Like, so let's put some respect on the guy's name, man. He's a brilliant player. Like, it does look like he's going to go Atletico Madrid. Doherty's there, and so I'd keep him. Like, he is going to score definitely. he will tomorrow. But Fulham away, we just love beating them there. And
What's the score prediction?
well, I'm gonna double your odds. I'm gonna go 5-2.
5-2.
5-2.
Who's going to get the goals?
5-2. Well, I'm gonna go Son to score 5 because, like I said earlier, the Foe scored 5 against Wigan. So you're looking at history repeating itself. Son to score 5, 4 against Southampton 3 years ago, and a hat-trick against Villa last year when we got top 4. Not this year, last year. So another hat-trick for Son, that's 3 in a row. But 5, that is a hat-trick. It still counts as 5. So, but yeah, Solomon, 5 assists, and yeah, into the next round. We need to take this competition seriously. Under the lights, away at Fulham. So, yeah, let's get the win and bring on Burnley. And good news is one of the Fulham players ain't playing because he got sent off. Don't know what his name is. But
Calvin Bassey.
Bassey, yeah. And thank you, Fulham, for taking a point off Arsenal because that's what we love to see. A London derby and great point. And Bruno Fernandes, I think, didn't get sent off. It was Nottingham Forest. But yeah, I thought we were going to see some shocking upsets yesterday.
Yeah, we did see a few. We did see a few, Carl. But
Haaland
always
missed a
good.
penalty.
Got Haaland. Yeah, he did. That was a big shock.
I've already took him out and I bought in Sterling and Jackson. So we'll see you all.
Took out Haaland. Incredible. Never seen anyone do that.
Yeah, because he missed a penalty, mate. He got 4 points. Like De Bruyne missed a penalty in the Community Shield against the Phil. So these two, they were linking up great last season. They just won a treble, but they both missed penalties, man. Haaland missed one against Bayern Munich in the Champions League quarter-final. So he's now missed 2. But let's see if he can miss another one. But tomorrow, Fulham, and how many players do I think will leave? 5. And
5 players.
And who do I think will come in? I say at least 2, a centre-back and a striker. Unlikely we'll go for Gift Orban. Not sure why, but yeah, I'd go for another striker, but I don't know who would be good. Name me another striker that is available, and name me one. So yeah, 2 I think, centre back and a striker, but we'll see. And it's deadline day, people, on Friday, so who doesn't love deadline day? I know you'll be watching. And
you're going to be wearing your yellow tie?
I don't have a yellow tie. I haven't got a gym white one.
Well, yeah, you've got a few days to get one, Carl.
Expression was on Sky Sports a couple of years ago for the transfers, so he's been on Sky Sports. So yeah, and Sim, like I said, please sort a day out for me to come on a panel show because I know you guys talk about debate, transfers and stuff. So sort the date out, mate, because I'd appreciate it.
Come on, Sim, sort it out.
All right, so it's all on me, is it?
It's all on
Carl,
you,
what
mate.
are you doing to me? You're giving me more work to do. I'm not busy enough, eh? Got to sort you out now.
Oh, yeah, right. You want to play games, is it? We still need our match.
Carl, every time you come on, you start calling the shots.
Yeah, because I'm king, mate. So, no, do not disrespect the king, kid. And I'm in charge. So who cares? I'm out here. I'm off to play some more FIFA. And, yeah, I'm getting ready. I'm just going to chill because got my birthday coming up in 24 days. So, getting young anyway.
All right, make sure you chill out all before those 24 days. It's going to be a wild one.
Crossing the days off the calendar, Kyle.
Yeah, and I better get a birthday message. So if not, it's going to be hell to pay, Ben. You still better give me
only me. What about him?
No, only you. I've got my own work to get on with. It'll be hell to pay. You concentrate on the birthday message. I'm getting him on the panel.
Okay, cool. I'm gonna start writing it now, KPV. I'm not gonna stop writing it for 24 days.
Yeah, 24 days, and then a couple of days after that, you know what's after a couple of days after? It's the North London Derby away. if we come in our next 4 games and go to the Emirates, then I think
Game
we'll
by
be
game,
good.
KPV. We're going to have next week to talk about next week game. Don't you worry about that.
I know that, mate. And yeah, but international breaks coming up after this. We've got England have Australia in the football, so make sure you do the giveaway, Ben and Tim. You haven't done a giveaway, like you've done a Kane giveaway, but maybe this time you should do a Son giveaway, like who the Son scored goal against, like that. So make sure you do the giveaway. People in the chat, if you want to see
KPV, any business proposals you have for us, please send to us in a private message.
Fair enough, mate. I'm out, but yeah, you got one more person in there. The last one. I'm definitely last, as always. But I'm out, people. I'll see you all on Thursday and Friday, whenever, for the Burnley game. But I'm out, and as always, Levy out, Daigle in. Boom!
Explosive ending.
Oh, KPV. And now let's bring on the real last guest of the show, and that is Josh from Spurs Live. How are we doing, Josh?
Yes, lads, we're doing well, doing well. How are you guys doing?
Yeah, all good, man. Basking in the glory of Ange Ball, unbeaten so far, 2 wins and a draw, going into the second round of the League Cup. Are you excited for this one?
I'm very, very excited for this game, as usual. I'm excited for every single game. I think I've come on here multiple times and said I'm excited. Look, it's Fulham, it's second round of the League Cup. I said in my stream, I'm kind of happy it's Fulham in a way, because on previous occasions we have underestimated their opponents, and now that we got Fulham, it's kind of straightened us out and said to ourselves not to underestimate them, because they can cause us problems. We should not underestimate them. They can definitely cause us problems, and I think changes will be made, like Ange said, but
Oh,
Was he frozen?
changes are
No,
very
you're back.
controversial in my opinion on what can happen. Can you hear me now?
Talk to me. Yeah. Talk
Yeah,
to
all
me
good, all
about the
good.
changes. Yeah, talk to me about the changes that you think that Ange is gonna make.
Okay, so I think up front is the obvious ones. I think Perisic comes in. I think Solomon comes in. I think Richie starts. I agree with Brian. I think Richie starts now, just for his last draw. Honestly, in my opinion, everyone knows my opinion. I'm Richie out. So unfortunately, I'm harsh on that. Straight with it. And I think Lo Celso needs to be played as a central midfielder, not as a cam. I know he is going to be played as a cam, but I want to see him played as a central midfielder. I think he's more effective as a central midfielder. I think he calms the play down. I think Højbjerg would also come in, and the back line is where the interesting bits come in, because it's either, if you want to stick with the back line to have more consistency with the likes of Mickey Van Ven, Romero, Udogi, and Poro, or if you want to make a defensive lineup and just bring in Emerson Royale into the Poro. I don't think that's a massive change, but it's extremely effective if it does happen. The fact that Poro, as we know, is more forward than Emerson, and allows the midfielders to come back to defend for him. But if Emerson does start, then he's more sitting down in the more deep areas as a defender, inverted right back obviously, but is more defensive, and allows the midfielders to express themselves whilst going forward. So there's different types of changes, but I think the back line is where it will be the most interesting.
Yeah, but as you say, we can't underestimate Fulham, and with the
100%.
changes that we're bringing in, do you anticipate the team will be good enough to beat this Fulham side, or do you anticipate subs having to make the decisive impact in this one?
I cannot tell you. I mean, my score prediction's very, very, very narrow, but I think the substitutions will have so much to play for. 100%. I'm gonna go with that. The substitutions will have a huge role to play. If we start the lineup, including the changes that I mentioned, we're looking at a tight game. Fulham are gonna be coming in as we expect them to, trying to beat us completely. And I had a question on my channel. I said, are we counted as a big threat in this League Cup? Because when oppositions look at us, do they look at us and be like, wow, okay, let's not rest any players. We need to go fully into this game, or do they go like, okay, maybe we can rest a striker, maybe we can rest a couple keepers, a couple defenders. Maybe we can do that. So, but I think with Fulham, they're going to come in very, very strong, and their substitutions, like I said, if it's Sonny coming on, if it's Basuma coming on, if it's even Madders coming on, they will have a huge impact in the game. Hopefully, the starting 11 will be good enough to get a comfortable win. But if not, then there's substitutions bang on waiting for them.
So what is that score prediction you got?
Oof. I mean, look, I'm going with a 2-1, but a very unconvincing 2-1. Because I just feel like the way Fulham play, that they will. If I think it's Paulinho is in the midfield, and we don't have a very strong central defensive midfielder. I don't count Højbjerg there. I count Basuma. Basically, if Basuma's not in that starting 11, and we've got a weak partnerships, which could, in my opinion, a weak partnership means Pape Sarr and Lo Celso, or Skippy and Lo Celso. Then I think we can definitely have some problems. But Marco Silva is not on the touchline, which is a very huge benefit for Tottenham. But overall, 2-1 to Tottenham Hotspur, and very excited for the game. It's going to be a nervous one as usual, because Tottenham are a nervous team, but it's going to be interesting.
Yeah, excited for the game, but also, 5 days before the end of the window. Lots of deals doing the rounds at the moment. Lots of business to be done before the deadline. What's your take on how the last few days are shaping up, and what deals are in the pipeline? Are you happy with what you're hearing?
So according to sources, obviously, you got Fabrizio and Telegraph and all them lot. Some reliable, some unreliable. But I mean, they're saying Brennan Johnson is the main priority of Tottenham Hotspur. I mean, that's the main focus until the end of the window, it looks like, and I'm not a happy fan if that happens, especially for the likes of 50 million pounds is not that kind of sort of a player. I mean, if Tottenham Hotspur are looking for 50 million in terms of Brennan Johnson, then why are other teams not going for him? I know you got Chelsea who just got out of the race, but and Brentford are looking at him. But I'm talking about why are top teams not going for him? No disrespect to Brentford. I think defenders definitely need to come in, but most importantly, outgoings. We need to get these outgoings, happening fast, because I say this all the time. Well, I said this the past couple of weeks. Why aren't we utilising the players that we don't want, such as Dyer? Why can't we say to Nottingham Forest, here, take 30 mil and take Dyer with you? That would be such a suitable offer for both parties. I think that's brilliant for Tottenham, but they can't let their outgoings. They can't let their players go. But recently, what we saw with Lloris, which was really annoying, is the fact that Lazio and Tottenham agreed on a deal, but Lloris decided not to go. And why would you want to go when you're on God knows how much of Tottenham, and you're going to go to Lazio getting God knows how much? It's a big difference. So I'm more looking at the outgoings and the incomings, but it's not looking good in terms of the incomings. I want a striker, but it is what it is. It is what it is.
So what's your prediction? How many in and how many out from now until the end of the window?
I'm going to go with 2 out. I'm going to go with Jed Spence and Reguilon as 3 out. Reguilon, Spence, and Dyer. And incomings, I can see a late bid coming from Tottenham Hotspur, who can potentially seal a deal. I'm literally guessing right now. I'm going to say a late deal for Tottenham Hotspur, and that secures us one signing. Which it depends on who the signing is. Obviously, if it's a Messi, it's a brilliant. But if it's Lukaku, it's not good. But over 1 signing, 1 incoming, and 3 outgoings.
All right, Josh. Always a pleasure to speak to you, my friend. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you very much. Come on, you Spurs.
Come on. And that is the end of the show. Before we do go, we got a super chat from the Joracle saying, I'm chatting with Levy on WhatsApp about a sale of my idea. I asked for a pint and crisps, but he's offering a glass of water and access to the N17 restrooms. Take the deal, man.
That's the best you're going to get.
Take the deal.
We know how stubborn Levy is, so that's the best you're going to get, my friend.
Take the deal, Jory. But look, a mammoth stream. Thank you, everyone, for joining today. We'll see you all tomorrow. The watch along, you've got Barry and Iggy with you in the studio, so tune in for that. It's bound to be drama. And obviously, me, Sim, and Daigle will be inside that stadium getting all the footage for you. So thank you, everyone, for joining us today. Like, subscribe, and comment. And as always, come on, you Spurs.